Well, it seems like you joined me on a bit of a sad day actually, guys, because I'm considering doing something that I actually didn't think I was going to do, but I'll explain why. Welcome back, you lovely lot, to Budget Cars and Bikes, and to another video which could end up actually being the last ever video on the Multistrada 1260s. I know, I did exactly the same when I bought the 1200 DVT Multistrada. I kind of kept it a couple of months, did 500 miles and then sold it, and I've got a feeling I'm probably going to end up really regretting getting rid of this bike if I have to end up getting rid of it. But the emphasis is on the having to get rid of it, because I just don't think I can justify having such an expensive bike sat outside in the garden under a cover. I mean, if I had a garage, which I'm sure a lot of you lucky buggers do, then yeah, great, I wouldn't consider selling it. You know, ideally I'd have a double garage and everything would be wonderful. You know, I'd win the lottery and I could have 10 bikes in there, but unfortunately life hasn't been that kind to me just yet. I still play the bloody lottery, but I'm not winning very much. Anyway, so the main reason why I'm considering, and I do say considering because I haven't made any kind of real decisions yet, it's just one of those things that I'm thinking about doing because, as I said, I can't really justify having expensive bikes in my garden, as it were. I mean, I've had this bike nearly 2 months now. I've been on it this will be the third time I've actually been out on the bike. One, because of the weather, two, because of, you know, life gets in the way and that kind of stuff. But as I said, that doesn't really kind of justify having a near £10,000 motorcycle if you're using it, you know, once every couple of months. That's crazy. So I am considering options, shall we say. I mean, if you've been subscribed for a while, if you've been following me, talking about following, we've just opened up a new TikTok channel as well. The link will be in the description for this video. So if you're more into TikTok than, you know, other social media formats, as it were, platforms, then we've got a TikTok site. Anyway, I digress. As I said, if you've been following me for a while, you'll know that how much I really kind of admire and love the GSX 1400 from Suzuki. And I have almost bought another one so many times I can't even count. I mean, if you haven't seen the video we did originally on the GSX 1400, I'll stick that in the right corner now, top right corner. I just love that bike, and I think at the prices that those are, you know, between 4 and 5 grand will get you a really nice one with 20 to 30, maybe 40,000 miles, depending on the history and condition, that kind of stuff. And I think I could justify having that as a bike I take out maybe once a month, once every few weeks, just keep it there for days that, you know, because I'm always going to have a bike in my life, I think. You know, there's never going to be a time I'm not going to have a motorcycle, because I've had motorcycles since I was 17. I'm now nearly 57, so you do the math. But I can't justify having a bike that I don't use, you know, 2 or 3 times a week of this value. I mean, if I was still young, I'd be out on this every day. Of course I would. I'd be commuting to work on it and all sorts. But as you get older and as you get kind of more achy and painful when you're out and about, then obviously you don't need to ride a bike all the time. And invariably you'll end up going out in the car. As much as I love this bike, and I know I'm going to end up regretting selling it, I know I am, but as I said, I'm not selling the bike or considering selling the bike because I don't love it. I'm considering it because I can't justify it. So I'm kind of heart over head kind of scenario with this at the moment. So I decided to take you guys with me today out on a little bimble to Looe Beach. I don't know if you know where Looe is in Cornwall. It's near Polperro, which I dare say you've probably heard of. It seems to be more kind of well known. So we're going to take a little trip down there to a beach that not a lot of people know about. They end up going to the main beach, but we're going to go to the beach I walk my dog on and see what you think about that, and we'll chat about the bike a little bit more. It's funny coming down this little bit of road here. If you did see the original video we did on the 1200 Multistrada DVT and the little drama we had just over there, that was quite amusing. It could have been bloody unfunny, but it was actually quite amusing. This is a very dangerous little bit of road here, actually. I think they need to deal with that at some point. Anyway, again, I digress. Beautiful, beautiful sunny day here in Cornwall. As I said, we're going to head off down to Looe because it's one of my favourite kind of beaches around here. One, because it's just sublimely beautiful, and two, because you can walk your dog on there, which is kind of cool. And not a lot of people know how to get there. They tend to go over the bridge in Looe and end up in the main town on the sandy kind of beach, as it were, which is all well and good. But that's not what you do when you're a local, I guess. Plus, I love this little bit of road as well. You can really kind of climb into the corners, as it were, especially on a bike like this. If you saw one of the last videos we did on this bike, I was saying then that putting it in sports mode and then blasting around Cornwall is a huge amount of fun, and of course on a road like this it really is. So we've switched over into sports mode just because we're on that kind of road where I think you can justify it, and I'll open it up in a second to show you how much fun you can have. I don't want to do it downhill obviously because you never know what rabbits are hanging about, but this is one of the reasons, one of the many reasons I love the Multistrada. When you slip it into sports mode and it just goes a bit crazy. I mean, you can be doing stupid speed in no time at all. It's just too much fun. So I'd be interested to hear your opinion, guys. What do you think about, you know, the Multistrada versus the GS 1200 versus maybe something like the KTM Super Duke GT, stuff like that? Because I did consider getting a Super Duke GT before I bought this, but as I said in one of my videos, you just can't get the value. I mean, the GT, the Super Duke GT, I was thinking about buying. I had a relatively old dash, great technology, but a relatively old dash, and it also had a lot of problems that people were talking about, which did freak me out a little bit. I mean, I know all manufacturers have problems, and everybody who buys a bike, you know, looks at these videos and reviews of bikes to find out what the common problems are, as it were, but it did freak me out a little bit. And I just love Ducati. I mean, with this we've got what, the TFT screen, we've got cruise control, we've got quick shifter up and down, we've got LED headlights, cornering ABS, 4 rider modes, heated grips, skyhook suspension, full luggage, and as I said, a full colour TFT display as well, which is just bloody awesome. It's got Bluetooth, which I dare say I'll never use. It's got USB and DIN sockets pretty much everywhere, one up front, 2 in the rear under the seat, ABS, traction control. I mean, it's just got everything you could possibly want from a modern bike, which a lot of the other bikes of this kind of price range don't have. I mean, if you look at a 2018 GS 1200 from BMW, you are not going to get, for the same money, any of the technology you're getting here. It'll be an old display, it probably won't have cruise control, it certainly won't have a colour screen. I mean, if you wanted to get the same kind of spec BMW GS that you get with the technology on the Multistrada, I mean, bearing in mind we've never actually spoken about the price of this bike, may as well get into that now. I paid a princely sum of £8,500 for this bike, delivered to my door. Now that may sound like a lot of money, but you do your own research and find out how much these go for. That's actually a very good price. And then on top of that, consider that before I had it delivered, I had a full Desmo done, which included valve clearance, obviously, new belts, all that kind of good stuff, plus a new chain and sprockets, plus 2 new tyres, plus this new Ducati tinted screen, plus they repaired, I think, the radiator because it was leaking a bit, so they had to send that away to get that done. And then on top of that, they sent me this quad lock mount just down here for free because I asked them to, because it's a dedicated one for the Multistrada. It fits into the bar clamps, as it were. That's another 70 quid, I think. And on top of all of that, if you've seen the video we did on the alternator cover and how that rots away and the water pump cover and everything else, I showed you the pictures of how bad that is and how bad this one was. They actually sent me out a brand new cover set, as in the water pump cover and the alternator cover. Have a look at the price of those. I think it's getting close to 700 quid for the alt cover and about 300 quid for the water pump cover. Crazy Ducati money, but that's getting on for another £1,000. So I think 8.5 grand, it seems like a bargain all of a sudden, doesn't it? And bear in mind, we don't have to do anything service wise apart from an oil change on this bike for the next, what, nearly 20,000 miles or the next 5 years. So yeah, I think I got a bargain, quite frankly. Yes, it's done 38,000 miles, but it's had both its Desmos, and I think they were both done at Laguna as well. Huge thank you to Laguna, as always. Chris and Bill over in the service department. Well, Chris is in sales, Bill is in the service department. Could not have been more helpful. I know some of you guys have had some kind of dramas with Laguna in the past, and that sucks, but from my personal experience, I couldn't have asked for more, really. As I said, you know, they even, 2 months after I bought the bike, they've had my money, bear in mind, they sent me out £1,000 worth of engine covers, so you can't really argue with that. So they're still giving me customer support weeks and weeks after I bought the bike. So thank you so much to those guys. So only time will tell, basically, what we're going to do about this bike. If I do any more videos, then great, you'll know I kept it, but this may end up being the very last video on this bike. As I said, I'm going to put it up for sale, I think, or on a Part X kind of situation where I ask online throughout eBay and Facebook and some of the Facebook pages. If anybody's got a GSX 1400 in white and blue with the white wheels that fancies doing a deal on this Multistrada for me, I'm basically going to ask pretty much what I paid for it. Now that may seem a bit cheeky, but I have added a huge amount to it, bearing in mind we've put exact cables on there, heat crash bars, you know, all that kind of good stuff. I've added another 500 quid to it, which I'm not claiming back, as it were. So I think if I ask 8.5 and I get 8.2, something like that, I think that'd be quite a touch. Put 4,200 into a GSX 1400, put 4 grand back into my kitty, as it were, and then I'll feel a little bit more comfortable. Anyway, as I said, I'd love to know your thoughts on all that. And I'd love to know your thoughts on buying either the Super Duke GT, the 1200 GS from BMW, or the Multistrada. The question is, I think really for me, and it remains, is this worth upgrading from the 1200 DVT? Is it that much better of a bike? It's a lot quicker. I mean, it really feels that much more quicker to me than the DVT did. The DVT's no slouch, don't get me wrong, but this just feels more mad, and I like a bit of that. But is it worth, I mean, a DVT 1200 is around about 7-ish grand these days. I picked this up for 8.5, so in that respect, yes, I think it's worth doing the upgrade. If you were going to be paying 12 grand for one of these, sub 10,000 miles, which there are plenty about, they're like 11, 12 grand, most of them, then I honestly don't think it's worth the extra 5 grand. I mean, bearing in mind it'll be maybe 3 years newer, it'll have some new tech on there for sure, including the quick shifter, but is that worth an extra £5,000? If you can get one like I got this one for 8.5 grand, so you're only paying 1,500 quid more than a DVT, then yeah, okay, why not? Why wouldn't you? But if you're going to be paying 5 grand more, I don't see that's a great bargain personally. I'd wait for the prices to go down a little bit. But again, you know, look at what you paid for a 2018 BMW 1200 GS. You couldn't get a 1250 for the same money as you got this. I mean, that's where you'd be looking at. You'd be looking at a 1250 GS with the same tech that this has got. And that wouldn't be 8.5 grand, would it? Let's be serious. Anyway, only time will tell. I just want to let you guys know what we are up to regarding the bike, what my thoughts are, etc, etc. We are just coming into Looe now. I'm hoping you guys can see all this. And you can see what a stunning place this is. It's got this beautiful river that runs through it. All the locals with their boats there, and the water is just a stunning colour. And hopefully, because it's not a bank holiday, we're not necessarily into summer per se, it won't be too mad here. Going back to the bikes though, the problem I've got, I think, is I've still got so many bikes I want to try before I finally admit I'm an old bastard and I don't want to be sore riding a bike. This was one of them. After trying the DVT, I really wanted to try the 1260. I've done that now. I absolutely bloody love it. I may end up keeping it. I may just do the non-sensible thing and keep it. But as I said, there's so many other bikes that I want to try out. I wouldn't mind trying out the GT. I won't go back to another 1200 BMW because I've had 2 of them now, and I just kind of confirmed what my feelings were on the first one by buying the second one, really. But I'd also like to try the VFR 1200 from Honda, because that's a nice big fat V4, and I do like a V4. I'd also love to try the MT10 from Yamaha. I'd love to try the V4 Tuono 1100 to compare that to the 1000. I mean, the list just goes on and on. That's the problem I've got. Too many bikes, not enough years left. But I'm in no rush to sell this. I've got to say, it's one of the best bikes, if not probably the best bike I've ever owned. Certainly the most expensive. And a crazy amount of fun. Anyway, this is Looe. Let me know what you think. Do you come here? Have you been here? Do you like it? I think it's a stunning part of Cornwall, personally. I am so lucky to live in this area. It's unbelievable. Although riding through it and driving through places like this is never easy. Ah, just look at that. What a lucky, lucky boy I am to live down here. You can just pop down to this beach. It's about 10 miles, maybe 12 miles from my house. And before you know it, you are here. Now this, as I said, is one of my favourite beaches. You notice we took a left coming out of Looe, as it were, to come down to this beach. If you were coming down the hill from Polperro, you would take a right, of course. But look at that, isn't that stunning? Got these lovely little coves over here. The kids can play in the rock pools. You've got, I can't remember what island that is, but you can go there. There are trips. And then you've got the kind of promenade, as it were, down there with some public toilets. There are cafes and seating areas and all sorts going on down there, and it's dog friendly, which is brilliant. So if you're in Cornwall, you're thinking about coming down here, Looe Beach I think is one of the nicer places around here, especially on a day like this. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, guys, give the video a thumbs up, a like and a share. Consider subscribing, that always helps. I mean, pressing that subscribe button takes you 2 seconds. It means the world to me. We're really trying to grow the channel as much as we can. Follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that kind of good stuff as well. I think we've got a Twitter account I can't keep up, to be fair. But if you want sneak peeks on projects that are up and coming or stuff we've done in the past, then Instagram is the place to go, or TikTok, of course, as I said. Follow me on there if you could. Links are all in the description. We'll catch up in a couple of weeks' time, and I'll let you know what I've decided to do about that beautiful bike over there. There it is in all its glory with the panniers on. It's just a stunning bike. I just don't know what to do. Thoughts, comments, put them down underneath this video. Thanks a lot for watching, guys. Take care. We'll catch up in about a week.